Alright guys, welcome to Red's Resort. Today I'm going to be trying to figure out what's the best sort of loadout for barreling through those PvE bounties. Now, as you might be well aware, there's been quite a few changes as to how ships are protected, and there is now an armour system there that stops some weapons from penetrating at all. So I thought I would take out two pretty strong contenders and see how they fare against each other in 4.7. Now, the very first thing that you should be aware of, as I wasn't, is that on the Vanguard, Sentinel, Hoplite and Harbinger, you can no longer swap out the size 2 guns, which is a massive pain in the bum, as you can imagine. You can still swap them out on the Warden though, so unless you know precisely the loadout you're going to be running, do keep that in mind when purchasing any ships. So the way this new armour system seems to be working is very inconsistent, and I was getting mixed results that didn't make sense right across the board. Attritions just seem to hit everything for some reason, and I'm gonna go ahead and put that down to they haven't had the necessary tweaks yet, so I'm not gonna put too much stock in their results. Also, if you take a higher caliber or a higher size of weapon and soften up the armour on a ship, your smaller guns will then penetrate, which is a nice little mechanic, but in terms of day-to-day usage and planning out your builds and things like that, I think most people would just want the most generalised loadout for everyday use that can kill as many things as possible. And that's what I've been aiming for here. So first up, we need to find out what is the best sort of loadout for the Vanguard, or the Warden specifically. And for that today we're going to be using an M2, because it's got pretty decent armour, and if there's any issues with penetrating that armour with lower caliber, it should show up when hitting it with the size 2s. In general though, alpha damage seems to be king here. If you have high alpha damage, even on a size 2 gun, you will damage the ship in front of you. Obviously that scales with the size of the ship. So what might hurt this M2 might not hurt an Idris, say. But at that point, if you're attacking a really big ship, especially with smaller weapons, then you should be primarily trying to disable targeting thrusters, PDCs, launchers, things like that. Which is kind of a good change, but everything's still kind of screwy because Hornets have got size 4 weapons, basically, so the balancing's still pretty off. So in this first test, we're in the M2. I'm just going to make sure that the shields have full pips. Then we're going to jump into the Warden. In the Warden, we make sure the weapons have full pips. And this is just a stock loadout for the Warden. So that's a size 5 deadbolt and 4 size 2 MVSA laser cannons. Now this is a test of weapons damage, so these ships aren't moving, they're static. And we use precision mode, which does slow down the rounds per minute. But we use precision mode on all the tests, so they should give us a clear indication of what's doing the most damage over time, even in a real combat situation. I'm going to target the power plant directly, just going to speed this up. The time on that was 57 seconds. Next up is the size 5 deadbolt with the 4 size 2 CVSA ballistic cannons. Everything else is exactly the same. That came out at 1 minute 5 seconds. There's about an 8-second advantage there. Next up is the size 5 attrition with the GVSR laser repeaters. 4 of them size 2. That came out at 1 minute 21 seconds. Next up we have an M7A on the nose and the 4 size 2 laser cannons back as well. That came out at exactly 2 minutes. And that was with me firing in a cadence that did not allow any regeneration on the shields at all. The M2 shields can charge fully from 0 in around 2 or 3 seconds, so you cannot let that enter recharge state at all. Something to keep in mind. So out of all of that, surprisingly, the deadbolt and the 4 size 2 laser cannons was the best build. So for our face-off, we have a full deadbolt build on the F8 and a deadbolt and laser cannon build on the Warden. And the idea is to find out which of the two is going to be better for PvE going into the new patch. Which one of those two is going to allow us to get up to very high risk targets basically before we need to swap out for something like a Corsair. So the full deadbolt build against the same target, same shields, everything the same. 54 seconds. So just marginally ahead of the Warden there, but not by much. A full set of attritions was 1 minute. A full M5 M4A build was 1 minute 30 seconds. And a full Omnisky build was 2 minutes 38 seconds. So as it stands, the F8 should fare you better than a Vanguard. Size 2 shredders, Omniskys, things like that, they just weren't cutting the mustard, I'm afraid. So the full deadbolt build for the F8 was still at the top of the list. I didn't get a chance to test the NDBs, but the chances of them being ahead of the deadbolt's pretty slim at this point. I'm going to try and dig out a Guardian MX and give that a blast over the next few days, as well as the default hopeful Ares Ion Inferno tests. If you don't see a video about it, that means they were shit, basically. But it looks like after all of that, we're still on deadbolts, with a lot less use for things like Gatlins and repeaters. I'll have a look to see what I can find for PvP as well. Got a funny feeling it's going to be the NDBs, but I'll get that tested for you, because obviously the deadbolts aren't going to be much good for that. Hope you found this useful. Let me know what I've missed, let me know what you'd like to see. Remember and send your Star Citizen stories, just any cool stories, any misadventures you've been on. We're now doing a show where I read all them out, so if you've got any, send them my way. We're looking like we might be going live tomorrow, so I'll be on the hunt for crafting blueprints and all the materials that you'll need for that as well. Busy, busy citizens. Till then, we'll see you guys.